Hi there, this is Ranjit and welcome to the 8th Tech Q&A session for 2023. And I'm sorry that we couldn't do this Tech Q&A session last month because I was just caught up with some personal stuff still going on, but let's do this. And I've taken actually quite a few questions today, so a variety of questions. So let's get on with this. And the first question that I got is from Mr. Srikar. He says, what's the key difference between an IPS panel and a VA panel and TV, which is most preferable? Okay, first let me give you an idea, big difference. What is the difference between IPS panel and a VA panel? Generally, if you notice, many of the Samsung TVs actually use a VA panel. Even their QLED TVs were actually using a VA panel. The advantage of a VA panel is that the contrast level are way higher, so the dark blacks and stuff look very good. But traditionally, the problem with the VA panels was that if you sit front of the TV, the picture quality used to be very good, but if you shift towards to the side angle, the picture used to fade away. But actually that's no longer the case with high-end TVs. For example, Samsung's QLED TV. I also have a Samsung QLED TV, a high-end one. In that, they have solved the viewing angle issues. But again, if you're getting a VA panel from a budget-oriented TV, the viewing angle issue will be there. So in terms of just picture quality, it will get better contrast, better darks, I would say, compared to the IPS panel. Whereas the IPS panel, I would say, does not have any issues of that viewing angle. So even if people are watching from this angle, I would say people sitting here, the picture will not fade away. That's the big difference. But again, as I've told you, in the higher end TVs, manufacturers that are using the VA panels have solved that viewing angle issue. Particularly, I would say Samsung comes to my mind. Even the QLED television that cost 4.5 lakhs, 5 lakhs were using actually the VA panel. Moving to the next one. This is by Kaushik. He's saying, why don't Apple manufacture the latest models of smartphones in India? Actually, Kaushik, there have been reports that the new iPhone 15 that will be releasing soon in September, already those iPhone 15 models are being manufactured in India. Generally, yes, that was the case with the prior iPhones. First, they used to get manufactured in China. Only after 6-7 months, the production used to come to India. But that's no longer the case, I've heard, from iPhone 15 onward. So hopefully when we get our iPhone 15, we should see the Made in India label on that, even on the newer ones. Okay, let's move to the next one. Okay, this is by Ritesh. Okay, and I've got similar questions. I'm taking this question. He says, why do brands still sell through Flipkart when customers are not willing to buy from Flipkart due to unethical and fraud activities? He says some issue happened to him. Okay. If you notice, Ritesh, I have been raising these points in my full reviews where some of the brands are exclusively going with Flipkart. For example, even for the Nothing Phone 2, I didn't mention that in the con section was Flipkart. Also, with many of the Motorola phones, that's happening. They're exclusive to Flipkart. And I think so the reason for that is that Flipkart is giving these smartphone manufacturers, maybe the commission that they charge for selling is way lower compared to other e-commerce sites like Amazon or whatever. I don't know what's the commission, of course, but it might be very less. Apart from that, they might also be bundling free promotions to them. That's why I noticed many of the brands actually still are going with Flipkart instead of Amazon or other vendors. So I'm pretty sure Flipkart is giving them a better deal, maybe a discount on the commissions or free promotions or something like that. That's the only reason I can think. Otherwise, why would they go with Flipkart? But I think so that's a wrong move in the long direction, because we know that many users do have issues with Flipkart delivery, particularly if you're doing exchange and stuff like that. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Pushkar. He's saying, hello, curious about the camera performance. Could you compare the Google Pixel 7a with the Nothing Phone 2 in terms of camera quality? Also wondering if the Nothing Phone 2 offers the same stock Android experience as the Google Pixel 7a. Pushkar, I think so you did not see my review of the Nothing Phone 2 that I posted about 4 or 5 days ago. I've covered all the points. I would say if it's just the camera, specifically the rear-facing camera, of course, the Pixel 7a goes ahead. It's not like the camera on this Nothing 2 is bad, but yes, definitely the Pixel has an edge edge in that. Also coming to the software UI, I have told this very clearly in the review also. This is very close to stock Android experience, I would say. But again, this is not completely true stock Android because nothing has added there. A little bit of interface, that is the glyph interface. So you have those menus and stuff with the glyph interface and stuff like that, and a little bit of other customization. But apart from that, very close to stock Android. No ads, no bloatware or anything preloaded on this one. So as I told it even in my review of the Nothing Phone 2, this gives me the vibes of the Pixel. So that's regarding the UI elements. And let's move to the next question. This is by Nitin. He's asking why smartphone vendors stop using metal backs and replace it with plastic. Earlier, I recall even the budget 10,000, 12,000 phones used to come with metallic backs. They used to look stunning, had better heat distribution and gave a good in-hand feel. Now even 30,000 rupees phones come with plastic back, or the frame generally. Frame is not aluminum or metal. I completely agree with you. And I think so, Nitin, this all comes down to the cost. Having a metallic back or a metallic frame on a phone costs way more compared to just having a plastic frame. And the sad thing is that I've noticed in a lot of smartphones, even that cost about 25, 27,000, they're using a plastic frame. What will happen to the phone if it falls multiple times? The plastic frame, very high chances it might crack within. Thus, the stability of the phone will go down to drain. But in budget, yes, you are right. You will hardly find any phones now with metal backs or even the frame that is actually made up of metal or something. It's all coming down to cost cutting measures because the margins on the phones have become very tight. So vendors are reserving the metallic frames and better build quality to their premium lineup of smartphone. And sadly, even the mid-range premium phones have crossed about 35,000 price point now in the market. Anyways, moving to the next one. Okay, this is by Jarvis. He says, have you had a chance to get your hands on a Lenovo Legion series of laptop? I have an MSI laptop, but it randomly died on me, and that too only after 1.5 years. Seeing how Legion 3 has 3 years of warranty, I wanted to know your opinion on it or any suggestion. Jarvis, actually, I personally own a 2-year-old Lenovo Legion, laptop. It's a Core i7 that I have. I don't heavily use it, but I do game a little bit on it from time to time, and it has been working well. As you told, for gaming laptop generally, it's always better to go with the extended warranty or something like that, because with the gaming laptop, you are pushing it too much, the amount of heat that it generates and stuff like that. So again, I don't know the current, because it's almost a 2-year-old laptop. If Lenovo is still giving 3 years warranty or an option of a 3-year warranty or any gaming laptop, always opt for that, in my frank opinion. But my Lenovo laptop, the Legion, that's almost 2 years old, over 2 years old, is working fine as of now. It's just that I feel the fan noise has increased quite a bit. Maybe the dust and stuff has accumulated a lot, but apart from that, it is working fine. Anyways, moving to the next thing is this is by Mr. Kranti. Do you have any information about the processors in the upcoming Galaxy S24 Ultra? Some people say that it may come with the Samsung Exynos processor. Who will be manufacturing the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor, TSMC or Samsung? A very interesting question, and I've got similar questions around this line. And again, guys, all of these are very strong rumors that I'm hearing within the industry, so nothing concrete. But the thing is that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 might be using both the TSMC and Samsung's foundry. The thing to note is that TSMC also is now moving to 3nm process. But what I have heard is that Apple, for their next generation of their processors, has completely booked TSMC's 3nm process. So nobody else can get that. So that's completely booked. Samsung has also come out with a 3nm process, and what we have heard that the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 will be manufactured both by Samsung. If it's on Samsung, it will be based on 3nm process, and also by TSMC, but that will be based on the 4nm process. So we are going to get a mix of it. Not sure about the S24 series, if it will come exclusively with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 series, or we might have a mix of Exynos. I doubt we might have a mix of Exynos this time. But again, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 will be a mixed Some of them will come from the Samsung foundry with 3 nanometer process, and some will come with the TSMC 4 nanometer process, because Apple has completely booked the foundries for 3 nanometer process. I hope that helps. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Mr. Vipin. He says, need to know which phone is the best for main camera photography, only in the 30,000 budget. Only camera is my priority. This is very difficult to answer, because lately I haven't tested a lot of, almost quite a few, 30K smartphones. So I need help from you guys and help Vipin. Under 30,000, which smartphone do you think has the best camera performance? I like the Moto Edge 40, but in camera, definitely no, that is not enough. Apart from that, it is very good. So need your suggestion, guys. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Mr. Asif, and this is regarding Nothing brand. I got a similar question also, I'll take that. Where do we see Nothing brand in going to the future? Will any Indian brand can make a comeback and solidified status in the mobile segment? Will there be evolution of affordable tier smartphones, because they are not good compared to what we used to get in the back? Let me go in the reverse order. The last regarding the affordability in the smartphone industry. If you're thinking the smartphones that we used to get about 5 years ago, even smartphones in the price of band of about 12,000 to 14,000 were very, very good. That era has gone. The price segments have completely moved. Earlier, the mid-range, what we used to call under 15, is no longer. That's no longer the case. That's moved to about 22 to 25,000. Even we are seeing some premium mid-ranges moving up to 15,000. So that is completely gone. Yes, we will still have some budget-oriented devices that we will get with 5G and stuff that cost 14,000-15,000, but don't expect a lot of bells and whistles and the quality that you used to get a couple of years ago. It's because of the component cost, competition in the market, the 5G chipsets, and overall inflation. The price has increased, so we just can't expect that. Let's be realistic about it. Okay, coming to your second question, will any Indian brand make a comeback and solidify its status in the mobile segment? I feel this can happen. For example, if I recall, the Lava with their Agni, which I had purchased and reviewed because they were scared to send me the review on it, was a very, very strong smartphone. I don't know what is the status of that device right now after updates, but when I got it, it had a lot of promise. So yes, it gives me hope that Indian brands can do it, but again, they have to consistently keep performing and provide good updates, so that over a year or two, then consumer confidence increases. So there is scope, but again, it's a very tough market out there. Even I would say Realme, which used to rule the mid-range market, is now in shambles. See, that tough the market is. And what do you see Nothing as a brand going future? Right now, I like what Nothing is doing. They're not flooding their market with new smartphones every 4 or 5 months. They have just released one phone per year. That's why I feel they are able to give good updates and keep it polished, I would say. And that makes a huge difference, I would say, in the smartphone. People don't understand that. People just think it's just the processor. It's, yes, processor is important, but how well you optimize it and how well it works with future update is very, very important. And that aspect, I would say, Nothing is actually doing a fabulous job. And I hope they continue to do that. And I just hope they don't start flooding the market with every 4 or 5 months with new phones or something. If they start doing that, again, it will be the repeat story that we have seen in the Indian smartphone market. But as of now, they're on the right track. I hope they keep. This is by Abhi. Okay, this is an interesting question, because the new EU ruling is that phones should have removable batteries. So that's coming from this one. So Abhi is asking, will phones retain the highest waterproofing, that is IP68 rating or whatever, after the EU mandate of user removable replaceable batteries in electronic? Abhi, yes, it can be done, because if you recall, I don't recall the exact model number, the Samsung S5 or S6 series, S5 I recall, I think so, had removable battery and it was IP rated. LG also had a few smartphones, the modular types, etc., which had removable battery and they were actually completely waterproof. So yes, you can make waterproof, that is with IP60, 768 rating smartphones with the replaceable battery. It'll be interesting to how this market evolves because of the EU ruling. We'll know very soon in the next couple of years, next 2 odd years. So anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Bhartwaj. Now that smartphones are only going through iteration changes, I completely agree. Is it a good option to pick the previous year's phone over current year's just for the value of money? Yes, you can do it, but again, it depends on the processor. For example, if you even talk about Qualcomm, I'm not talking about Dimensity. Many of the Qualcomm's older, flagships were rubbish. The Snapdragon 888, etc., all had heating issues. Even the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 had issues. Only they solved the issue of heating after the Snapdragon 8 Gen Plus, 8 Gen plus 1, 8 something naming. That's what this phone has. So if your smartphone is having that processor, Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 or the latest Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 2, definitely, if it's even a year old phone, you can definitely go with it, because these are gem of a processor. And again, if you're buying a flagship processor or something like the phone with a flagship specs, it'll easily last for 3 years. I don't get it why many people, and some of my friends also, they have a flagship smartphone or whatever, and they just start upgrading every year. Easily these phones with the flagship processor, the good ones, will last about 3 odd years. So yeah, you can definitely do that, because the year-on-year change that we are seeing with smartphones simply doesn't warrant every year upgrade, especially on the higher end, I have to say. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Kunal. Hey Ranjit, what are your thoughts on the green line issue being revolving around different smartphone companies? What actually went wrong? Is the quality of the display or something else? Please take this question neither. Kunal, I have been actually talking about this from past 1 odd year in my tech Q&A session. Every other tech Q&A session I used to take this topic, and yes, this has become a problem, and this is not across just one brand. This issue is across all the brands. Even Apple, many of the Apple iPhones have started getting the issues. The Samsungs, the Vivos, the OnePlus, you name it, everybody is having. And I think so this is a quality control issue or something issue with the quality of the AMOLED panels. Maybe in the race to make it cheaper and cheaper, they cut down the quality testing, or because of the COVID, they couldn't do quality testing properly, and we got a very bad batch of AMOLED panels that is affecting a lot of these smartphones. I just hope and keep fingers crossed that the new smartphones that we are getting now don't have this issue, because the issue is that immediately we don't come to know these issues. Only after a year or year and a half of usage of these devices, these problems are coming. And I think so it's high time the manufacturers pay a little bit more attention to the quality control issues that they are having, because if this continues like this, then people will start avoiding smartphones with AMOLED displays. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that this issue is solved, because I have asked so many OEMs about this issue, but all of them are mum about it. They are not giving clear answers. Why was this happening? Has it been solved or something like that? Okay, this is by no name. Why aren't any of the reputed smartphone brands focusing on built-in audio DAC? Premium flagship phones mobile still aren't satisfying the audio file. The thing is that you guys are very small market. That's the reason. Some of the smartphones earlier used to provide a very good hi-fi DAC. If I recall, LG smartphones actually on their headphone jack used to have a very high quality DAC. But look what happened to LG. They just wound out. So again, the percentage of people that are there using these features is very, very tiny. Most of the people have moved to TWSs and stuff like that. And this is using over Bluetooth. Come on, man. Can't be audio file stuff. So yeah, very tiny market, so they are not concentrating on it. This is by Aven. Will you recommend nothing over any other brand if budget was not a constraint? And what about the update situation, the Moto Edge 30 Ultra? Have you got the update? How's it? Aven, I no longer have the Moto Edge 30 Ultra. The unit has went back to Motorola, so I don't know. I've heard that it has got the Android update. You can check with other users if what is the situation. But I would say I like both the Moto Edge 30 Ultra, and the Nothing Phone 2 is also very, very good. But in one area, I would say the Nothing Phone 2 will go ahead is in terms of camera performance. In camera performance, I would say the Moto Edge 30 Ultra, at the time when I reviewed it about last year, it was okay, but the video had the very weird colors and stuff like that. I don't know if those things have been solved with the latest update, because I no longer have the phone. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Aaron. What are your thoughts about nothing already starting a sub-brand called CMF? Do you think it's too soon for such a new company? I fear they might be going the OnePlus way, push out too many products and not having any people to maintain them. I also was a little bit shocked to see that nothing has launched a sub-brand like CMF. So I don't know if this is the right move, or because what we have seen in this Indian industry is that, for example, Realme had launched what? Dizo, if you call the sub-brand or what. But where is Dizo now? They just vanished from the market. So I hope nothing does not do that mistake, and that the CMF start flooding the market every month or two, a new product or something. Because if you do that, it's very difficult to maintain. So keeping my fingers crossed about that. So let's see what happens. And I hope we don't see a repeat of Dizo. Okay, this is by Mr. Dipanshu. What would you call a mid-range projector? Any suggestions? How much difference will it make for full HD or 4K? Okay, Dipanshu, I would say for projectors, if you are going for unbranded Chinese stuff and stuff like that, you can get a mid-range one for 15,000 and pretty decent full HD ones for 20 odd thousand from Watsco, whatever, Vanco, Mambo, and stuff like that. And for that price, I would say it's okay. But again, in terms of color reproduction, color accuracy, they are just, I have a Watsco one. I just purchased it just for testing, because the specs were looking incredible for just 22,000, and the picture it produces is okay, but the color reproduction is so awful on that. Me working with what do you say video and stuff, I just can't stand it. But to my daughter and to my what do you say wife, they say it's okay because they are not very critical about color. So I would say if you're just going with a Chinese brand, you'll get the value. But again, in terms of color reproduction, if you're picky about it, you will not be happy. I would say for projectors, I personally have a BenQ projector. Oh my god, the color reproduction on that one is beautiful. Also, another brand that comes to my mind is Epson. But again, these are slightly on the premium, not super premium. Super premium I would call is JVC and Sony. Those are bonkers in pricing. So I would say the BenQs and the Epson projectors offer great performance for decent price, not super overpriced. And you can go with the full HD one. I think so the BenQs and the ViewSonics mid-range models for anywhere from like 70,000 to 90,000 to a lakh you can get. 4K projectors sadly in India are still very, very expensive. And I did a little bit digging. Why are they just so expensive in India? They cost almost twice the cost compared to international market. And I came to know in India, sadly, the projectors are taxed at 28% GST. And apart from that, there's a very high import tax. That's why projectors, the high-end projectors, are super, super expensive in India. And I would say you can get away with the full HD projector also up to 100 inches or stuff like that. It is okay. It's decent. Yeah, 4K is definitely better, but again, as I've told you, the 4K true projectors are very, very expensive in India. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Mr. Gupta. Please suggest a Windows laptop with good battery life, budget around 80 to 1 lakh. Mr. Gupta, I would suggest going with any laptop with a reputable maker with Intel Core, Intel 13th generation processor. I personally have the Samsung Book 3 Pro, which is having a 13th gen processor, and man, this Intel 13th generation processor. In fact, I had also tested one of the Asus laptop that came with the 13th gen processor, and man, Intel has really worked on the power efficiency with this 13th gen. So easily, realistically, you can get about 6 to 7 odd hours of usage with Intel 13th generation processors. And now in the market, you might be able to get a Core i5 processor in that price range. Just make sure you're going with the Intel 13th generation processor. 12th is also okay, but 13 have seen quite a, don't go with the 11th or lower. They are just horrible in terms of battery life, heat up like crazy. Okay, moving to the next one. This is by GeekyRanjit. What do you think brands are, why do you think brands are not utilizing the 7 Plus Gen 2 in the mid-range segment despite being a good SoC? Okay, this I have asked to a lot of OEMs, also smartphone manufacturers and all these things, and I can't quote their names, but what they have told is Qualcomm is charging a bomb indirectly, I would say, for these processors. That's the reason actually many of the vendors are skipping this processor. And again, if you notice, many of those smartphone vendors are also very unhappy with the pricing of the upcoming Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, because Qualcomm has priced it so high this time. Just the chip is about $160-ish or something like that. And again, I've heard that the Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 2 also is the same thing. That's why at that price point, because again, guys, let's remember, yes, it's a fabulous processor, but in India, if you don't get the pricing right, whatever might be the phone, whatever, how good ever the phone might be, the specs, it will simply fail. So it's the pricing that is Qualcomm is getting wrong. It's just, and that's the reason we are seeing a lot of Dimensity based smartphones in this price range. I think so. It's high time Qualcomm gets their head right, and because again, the Dimensity processors in that range are also decent, I would say, and don't have that heating issues. But it's just Qualcomm being arrogant. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Yeri. Hope you are doing well. I just wanted to know some insights about the latest iPhone 15. As I've heard, will come with a Type-C port. Will Apple increase the price of the regular iPhones? Currently using the iPhone 11, should I upgrade to the 14 or 15 this year? Yes, the iPhone 15 is supposed to come with the Type-C port because of the EU regulation. So it finally will have, one port to charge all your smartphones. Good riddance, the Lightning connector. And definitely, if you are already using the iPhone 11, it will be a massive upgrade to the iPhone 14 or 15. We don't know about the pricing, but generally what we are seeing is every vendor is now slowly increasing their pricing of their higher end phones. So let's see if Apple does that this year or not, specifically in India. This is by Ricky. Why Snapdragon market share is going down in the mid-range and the budget segment? Again, because of the pricing, guys, and that's the reason MediaTek Dimensity chipsets, which are actually proper 5G, both their SIMs are 5G, is taking away the market. This is by Chatterjee. Which Wi-Fi 6 router would you recommend for non-gaming use? Okay, let me give you an idea. If your budget is tight, I would say you can go with Wi-Fi 6 routers from TP-Link. Generally, the performance is good with TP-Link routers, and they don't cost a lot. If you have a decent budget, then you can go with ASUS Wi-Fi 6 routers. Earlier, I used to actually, in my other setup, actually I have a ASUS Wi-Fi 6 router past 1.5 years, and it's been working very, very well. Again, I would say if budget is not an issue and you have a complex setup like multiple floors or stuff like that, then you can go with what I did in this new setup. This is a 3-floor setup. I went with Ubiquiti Wi-Fi 6 AP points. Again, this is a very expensive setup if you guys really want a video about that. But again, it's rock solid. In this setup, the Wi-Fi is rock solid any corner you go. So that's what it is. On a budget, TP-Link, you can go, if your budget is slightly higher, you can go with ASUS. But again, if it's a multiple floor setup and a complex setup and budget is not a issue, you can go with this professional setup like Unify with Ubiquiti and stuff like that. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Astra. Your pick for the budget tablet around 25,000. I would say you have to increase the budget slightly a little bit. If you are you can get the iPad, or I think so, for 29,000. But if you are an Android lover, you want an Android tablet, I think so. The Xiaomi had released one tablet called Mi Pad 6 or Redmi Pad 6 or something like that. That was available on Amazon. That's a fabulous tablet. For Android tablet at that price point, nothing is better than that. You can go with that. What I'll do is, I think so, it's available on Amazon India. So I'll leave the link in the description so that you can check it out. In fact, I had that tablet. I was simply sick during that time. That's why I couldn't post the video. But brilliant tablet, I would say, if you are a person who wants an Android tablet at that price point. Anyways, moving to the next one. This is by Rohit. Hey Ranjit, hope you are doing well. Would you suggest the Pixel 6a or the Galaxy S21 FE in 2023 if the price is around 25K? See, Rohit, my only pet peeve with Pixel 6 and the Pixel 7 series is the Tensor processor. Remember, guys, if you're just doing even normal tasks, it will heat up like crazy. That's the reason I simply cannot recommend the Pixel 6a. And also, I've heard that the Pixel 6a and even the 7 with some of the Geo SIMs is having issues with network connectivity. Mostly, I tested with Airtel, I did not have, but I've heard that. So that's the reason, because of the heating issue and some of the network issues, especially with 5G, with Geo, I can't recommend the 6a. And even the 7a because of the heating issues, guys. So that's the reason I would say avoid it. So that way the S21 FE, yes, I know it's very, very low, and I'm very, very annoyed with Samsung because they didn't launch the S22 FE now. What? S23 also has been launched so many months ago, and there is nothing like the S23 FE. Sadly, I don't know if Samsung has completely abandoned the FE series. Okay, let's move to the next one. Nothing phone 2 box mentions only Indian SIM cards. If someone is traveling outside of India for a week or two, will they be unable to use a local SIM card? No, it's nothing like that. If you remember, the Samsung smartphones also on the box used to say, write this, keep the sticker. Only Indian SIM. The thing is that you have to activate the smartphone in India with the Indian SIM, and once it's activated, I've used it for 1 or 2 hours, then you can actually, if you're roaming in another country or whatever, can put an international SIM. So not what do you say, Samsung also used to put this label always for the last couple of years, but now they have stopped it. So it's just that you have to activate the smartphone and use it for an hour or so with an Indian SIM first. Okay, this is by, what do you say, James Bond. Okay, will you prefer your BMW 330i or the Nexon EV? I have the Nexon EV Max. If you have to choose one, as you have loved your Nexon more, I feel. Tell your honest answer. A very difficult one. I like both the cars, but to be very frank, since I've got my Nexon EV Max, and that have driven over now 10,000 kilometers. My BMW has been driven only just about 1,500 kilometers till now after that. So mostly we are preferring the Nexon EV Max, I would say. But yes, on the weekends or sometimes I do enjoy taking out my BMW also. But to answer your question, if I was given a choice of just having one car, I would have gone with I would go with my Nexon EV Max instead of my BMW, because it's simply way, way, way more practical, I would say. That's my frank opinion. But I do still love my BMW also. But as I've told you, I'm hardly driving it, just about 10 to 15% compared to what I'm driving the Nexon EV Max. And my Nexon EV Max has become my primary car now. And I will be posting the full video and the review of the Nexon EV Max now, because I've completed 10,000 kilometers. So again, stay tuned to the channel for that. It's going to be a pretty interesting video. Anyways, this is the last question. This is by Mr. Kumar. Which phone is the best for shooting and editing videos? My wife is planning to shoot cooking videos on YouTube and Instagram. As per our budget, these are the 3 devices my plan. iPhone 14 or 13, Pixel 7 and OnePlus 11. As you have told that primarily you are getting this smartphone to shoot videos, I would strongly suggest you to go with iPhone 13 or iPhone 14, because what I have noticed is that the video quality that you get with the iPhone is still much better compared to what you get with Android smartphone. That is the reason I have iPhone 13 Pro and I hardly use it. But whenever I need to shoot videos outdoors or something, I shoot it with that. In fact, the video that I'll be shooting with the Nexon for the Nexon EV Max will be shot on my iPhone 13 Pro. I hope that helps. Anyways, guys, that's it for now for this tech Q&A session. And guys, if you're still not subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.